Hey everybody, Zongets134 here.
Average Joe Squad.
And welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen. I said remember the hyphen this time. The show where we look at comic books, video games, and everything in between.
Welcome to Spell the Hyphen.
To spell the hyphen. H-Y-Z...
Hyphen H2O.
hyphen... Speaking of H2O, that's a good way to... That's actually a way for us to go into this. So, as you know, it's getting to be about that time of year. The
spooky season.
Spooky season. I mean, granted, it has been the spooky season, but...
The perfect time to play Skyrim.
Yeah. And,
You agreed.
Yeah, I know I did. Alright, anyway. So, and well, I figured we should probably do a little something Halloween-y, which we will be doing next week for Halloween. Is Tuesday the 31st?
I don't have a calendar in front of me. I don't really keep up with it.
Well, whatever. Even if
it's
it's
really just another day.
Even if it's not on the day of the Halloween, we will have something Halloween-y up for you. And something comic book related. But anyway, so... Really? So anyway, I was gotten to thinking, we were talking about this after we did, we shot the Alien podcast, which was last week. So, you should watch that. We have a playlist now.
We even have it. We even put a special filter over it to make it look like it's from the 70s.
We did.
If I could have gotten us some 70s looking clothes, I would have.
Oh, true. If I could have found us some Reggie bars, we would have been...
Have some Led Zeppelin playing in the background. Copyright strike.
Oh, I love Led Zeppelin. But anyway, so I was talking about how some horror movies and movies in general really shouldn't have, sequels. Basically, this whole episode is us talking about movies that we don't think really should have been franchises because they either weren't very good or there just wasn't enough to, expand.
Or, in some cases, as we'll talk about, the quality dramatically dipped after... Yeah. With each passing sequel, it just got worse and worse and worse.
In fact, I think we should, seeing as how we did Alien, let's talk about the Alien franchise in general.
That's a good one. So, to kind of not rehash what we discussed in the last episode, which if you haven't watched, go ahead and click the link. It's in the playlist. Most recent one. The Alien franchise is a bit of a weird one in terms of quality. Most everybody, if you ask them about Alien, the franchise, most of us will agree that Alien and Aliens are arguably the best.
Unarguably so.
It's arguably which one of them is the best.
Yeah, I think
it's really just your personal taste.
Yeah, do you want a spooky horror movie, or do you want
Ripley being a badass and killing aliens?
And to be fair, I do like both. It's just I like Aliens a slightly bit more.
And I'm the opposite. I like Aliens. I like Alien a little bit more.
Then it has Bishop and Hicks. Arguably...
But Newt.
And Newt. And they come mostly at night. Mostly.
Game over, man. Game over.
Get away from her, you bitch!
But anyway,
you can't go wrong with it, with either.
Yeah. Either movie is really, really good. Most everybody will say that those are the best.
And then you come...
Then you got Alien 3.
To Alien 3, yeah.
Alien 3 is one of those movies that... I've met people that like Alien 3.
Well, usually I think when they do, they like the director's cut of that.
Yeah, because that's the thing with this, is that whereas Alien and Aliens kind of have a definitive cut, and it's usually... Yeah. Most people I've seen praise the theatrical.
Yeah. Well, I know the director's cut for Aliens a little bit, just because it gives more...
I've never seen the director's cut for Alien.
Like I said, it gives more background to why Ripley goes off into space, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, but again, most of us agree that, okay, there's a definitive cut for those movies, so there you go. Alien 3 is such a weird movie, because there's two different cuts. You have the theatrical and you have the director's cut, and then there's another, I believe there's a fan cut that has even more stuff.
And I want to say they used the rough cut, too. They used stuff from the rough cut. That wasn't even
because, the opening to either movie is either cut is pretty different.
I mean, but regardless of which one, it's really frustrating because it's one of those sequels. What I hate what they do is when they completely get rid of the rest of the cast. They kill off Newt Bishop, and Hicks, aka the only other survivors aside from Ripley.
Yeah, they kill them off pretty much in the early part of the film.
Yeah, basically the ship they were on crash lands, and Ripley's the only survivor. Which right off the bat is frustrating for me because of the fact that Newt was such an important part to Ripley's character in the second film. basically I think the actress that played Newt was getting too old to reprise her role.
Yeah.
And probably...
Well, and it's also telling that most of the Alien novels ignore Alien 3 altogether.
Yeah. Like, you and I were, in fact, talking about that. But, like, you know, and Bishop's actor, I forget his name.
I can't remember it at all.
But him and Bill Paxton were probably doing something at the time, too, so, like...
Well, I remember I believe they had to throw a lot of money at Sigourney Weaver
to even get her to come back. Which apparently was even less than what they got for her for Resurrection, but we'll get to that. But right off the bat with 3, it takes the only thing that you get from any of the other 2 movies is Ripley. And to make it even worse, this movie isn't even interesting. It's pretty much just aliens, but now they're in a prison camp.
Yeah. And the only real major difference is that at the end of the movie, Ripley gets infected with the alien.
The queen
You're
xenomorph.
gonna have to refresh me a little bit, because it had been a long time since I'd seen Alien or Aliens. It's been even longer since I've seen 3, because I don't ever want to watch that movie.
I want to say they found the remnants of the queen from the ship or something like that, and they basically were able to create an egg, a queen xenomorph egg, and they put it in Ripley because they knew she would, because I think it was going to turn into a chest burster in her body. So at the end of it, Ripley throws herself into a vat of molten.
Yeah, that's the part I remember, is that she throws herself into the
because she doesn't.
The chest burster explodes out of her right as she.
I think that's actually in the director's cut, because I think in the original theatrical cut that doesn't happen to her. She just falls in. Whereas I think in the director's cut they had the effect budget to show the queen chest burster popping out.
Yeah, but I mean
which I think is also the only film in the franchise we see the queen chest burster.
Either way, that movie. I remember that movie was pretty critically panned when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
Fans don't like it. I've met some that do, but even then, they're the first to admit, look, it's not a perfect movie. As we'll discuss when we get to Resurrection, it's not a perfect movie, but you're allowed to like it.
And honestly, if I were to watch either of the two of them, I would say Resurrection.
Yeah.
But, and that's my biggest problem with 3, because once again, it's just doing stuff you've seen in the first 2.
It's more of okay, I've seen this. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, I mean,
I have something new.
Granted, I do like the scene, and I want to say it's in 3, the scene where the xenomorphs right up in Ripley's face, and the face hug, the second mouth kind of springs out, not all the way out, but enough to give Ripley fear. And I do like the dog xenomorph in this. Granted, it's really weird because it's clearly supposed to be much smaller than human xenomorphs. And it's also technically, I think, the movie where it says that, xenomorphs are different depending on what species that you put it in.
That's how we get stuff like the crocodile.
Yeah,
Xeno
Batman versus Alien. The many various aliens from the toy line, like the bull xenomorph, and apparently I think originally they wanted to have night xenomorphs in this movie, which is basically these xenomorphs that have shields where they're, instead of just the regular head, they have shields almost like the queen's but bigger. Which, of course, got cut because they didn't have the budget for it.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, is one of the biggest problems with franchising stuff. Eventually,
you have to deal with the budget.
Yeah, and sometimes, you have to change the direction of the franchise because of the budget. Hence, why I'm not a big fan of 3. Because it takes... because how much more interesting would this movie have been if it was about Ripley, Hicks, and Newt trying to get off? And, they want to use Newt to be the new alien queen.
It would have made so much... It would have been more interesting.
Yeah, because it's all,
It's just... And I'm not saying that... And this is a big problem with a lot of films, not just horror, not just movies that shouldn't have been franchises, is that the main character, while being the star of the movie, while being the most interesting character, obviously the one you're supposed to relate to...
Yeah.
Main characters can be extremely bland without proper supporting characters.
Not everyone can be Ash Williams from The Evil Dead, who, Ash in a lot of the Evil Dead movies kind of carries the movie. Even, Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is kind of but, Ash is what makes that movie watchable for me. Ash versus the Evil Dead, a lot of it has to do with the fact that, Ash Williams, and by extension, I can't think of his actor's name. Bruce Campbell. Yeah, Bruce Campbell. I don't know why I blanked on Bruce Campbell's name.
So I blanked on it too, but I've only been awake a couple hours, so.
Fair. But But like with Ripley, like a lot of it has to deal with like it usually is what is her surroundings and how she has to survive stuff. You know, the first film is about her, you know, just simply trying to not let this thing get back to Earth. In Aliens, it's about her dealing with the grief of losing her daughter and trying to protect Newt because Newt's the closest thing she has to a kid still. You know, and like coming over her fears of like androids and stuff, since, you know, in the first film she gets almost killed by Ash, and then you have Bishop, who could arguably but like thankfully Bishop's like kind of becoming sentient, so like he ignores the programming of like Weyland-Yutani, and that's just another thing with these movies, especially because this will also blend into like later Prometheus and Covenant and like the AVP movies. It's Weyland-Yutani's obsession with these xenomorphs. Because like that's usually the main driving. It's not the aliens themselves, because
aliens show up. Weyland-Yutani. It's like enough.
Like especially because like I feel like you spent more money trying to get these things back to Earth.
They've spent enough money on this fucking Xeno product. They could have just done a super weapon and been done with it at this point.
Know.
They could have made a damn Death Star for all we know.
But like I said, three's just kind of bland because it clearly they were running.
3 is frustrating to me.
Yeah, 3 is frustrating. And then you get, of course, to Resurrection,
which I actually like. It's a guilty pleasure movie, but I actually enjoy Resurrection.
Resurrection has some decent stuff in it. Like I like the crew that they have. My biggest problem is, of course, the fact that, much like with the Arkham games, and the fact they constantly have to use Joker, the fact that once again we have to follow Ripley. Like, honestly, if you kill her in 3, you should have just left her dead. For me.
Oh, and
just have it with, like, a new cast.
Resurrection, I can actually argue, I enjoy for the possibilities that it puts forth, rather than its execution.
Yeah, especially because I feel like for Resurrection, and I feel like Whedon did this too, which is kind of, I think one of the bigger problems with this movie is Whedon. Just because, like, he does his Whedonisms in it.
This is like
Winona Ryder,
this is like right around the time he was doing this 3rd season of Buffy as well.
Like Winona,
he was getting known at this point.
Yeah, like having Sigourney Weaver and Winona Ryder kind of have this will they or won't they like faux relationship thing. Then Winona Ryder's actress in that is so annoying. Because she basically plays it like she's a toddler that didn't get their ice cream. Oh, I wanted a pony. And then you have that weird alien-human hybrid thing.
That thing is so fucking ugly looking.
What gets me is they try to play it like this thing is, like, childlike. But then, like, right after it does it, it'll like, turn into, like, this monster with black eyes and fangs. Like, it'll be like Ripley does something like, Mommy, why did you shoot me? I'll kill you. Granted, its death is amazing, where it gets stuck in, like a breach in the hull of a spaceship, and, like, it just gets sucked out. Best death ever. Wow! But,
appreciate we're referencing someone we don't support anymore.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that was back before I knew, and unfortunately, they're just kind of a part of me.
Yeah, I know.
It's one of those things, like, I just, but
yeah, like I said, Resurrection I enjoy as a guilty pleasure. It's mainly just for the possibilities, though, rather than the execution itself. Because, I think that was fun fact, that was actually the first movie I ever bought on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I bought that, and I believe I bought Serenity. Yeah.
But, like, I think you get my point, though, right? Because, like, both these are very much they're just trying to do aliens again. Like the bounty hunters in 4 are basically just the Marines.
Yeah.
Like, they all have, like, the silly, like, gimmick, or, like, they even have, like, a Hicks character. And, like, but then they, like, you have, like, the weird stuff, like, the weird scientist that has, like, almost, like, a sexual fascination with them.
You don't want to talk about the basketball scene?
Could we not? Like, it's bad enough that they have to do the whole...
What about that guy who can trick shot bullets off of every fucking thing, but he can't shoot the alien hanging on his foot?
Oh, yeah. I was
what the fuck was that?
Or
how does that make any sense?
Or how about the twist that Winona Ryder was an android? I'm like, okay. Like, it was one of those, I'm like...
Almost like, can we stop with the twist, like, they're an android? It's like, we've seen this 3 movies now. Enough. We get it. They're out there. Just come out at the beginning and say, this is an android. There you go.
And really that, like, it's really weird because they still have Ripley and, like, Winona Ryder's weird kind of gay thing.
Well, it's because Ripley 8 is technically half alien, so I don't know. Maybe it makes sense in some degree. Or
I mean, I guess, because technically if the aliens are, like, or the xenomorphs rather, are like termites or ants. They're all female technically, but that still means there's a male drone.
Yeah, it's
that
weird.
I will.
And then I've go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I was just gonna say, and one of my other things is it does the thing where like Whedon tries to have like some darkness to it, but the problem is you have all these silly Whedon-like characters, and it kind of
detracts.
Especially because like you had like that jarring scene where Ripley 8 comes across one of the failed Ripley clones, and it's like begging her to kill it, and like she lights all the Ripley clones on fire, and I'm like, okay, that was needlessly dark for this kind of silly action film.
Yeah, and then I've never seen Prometheus. I've heard pretty much every type of review you can have
Prometheus for me.
Most of them overwhelmingly negative.
Prometheus for me is one of those like, well, here we're doing franchise stuff, so let's explain stuff from the previous movies because that's the only thing we know how to do. Hey, remember that big alien that was in the ship that had the first facehugger in it in Alien? The space jockey? Did you want to know what those were? No? Well, too bad! Here's a movie for you!
I remember when that movie came out, I was like, this is so fucking unnecessary. Because you gotta remember, too, that was the first actual Alien sequel that had come out since Resurrection.
Yeah.
If we're not including AVP stuff, which I don't count. I don't count that. I'm not a fan of any of those movies either. Like, I'm not a Predator guy really either. I'm usually an Alien guy.
I like Predator, and as someone who was excited for AVP originally when it came out, I was excited for it until one thing came up. PG-13.
Yeah, no. If you're gonna do an Alien or a Predator movie, it's gotta be rated R. You gotta be able to show some guts and shit.
You telling me you want to make Predator family friendly? The guy who used to flay people's skin off and with the net,
or the xenomorph, where its entire way of reproduction is implanting an egg in you and having it burst out of your chest.
You know, like in AVP, it's so bad. Like they show like this woman, or like one of the people in the expedition wakes up and sees that someone has a face hugger on, and then cue to him like shooting desperately at the eggs because they're starting to hatch, and then that's all you need to know. Like you never once see a chest burster. I think the only time you do see a chest burster is the Predator that dies, because at the end of it a chest burster pops out and it's an alien xenomorph hybrid.
Yeah, I'm really glad I never watched
the Predalien.
I've never watched any of those movies just because I just don't care.
AVPR is even actually worse. I don't know how, but it's actually worse.
But like I was saying, with Prometheus, that was like the first new Alien movie we'd had in like almost a decade or so. And when I found out like that's what it was, I was just like, because I got excited because everybody's like, oh, there's a new Alien movie. I'm like, oh, there's a new fucking Alien movie, finally. Then I see the trailer for Prometheus and I'm like, this looks so stupidly unnecessary. Why do we need this?
And
give me a damn Alien movie that's like actually like an Alien movie, not a
because
prequel. We don't need to know about the space jockey because nobody cares. It's dead.
Yeah,
it's dead. Its ship had the aliens on it. That's really all you need to know. I don't need to know this thing's life story.
And not only that, it goes with the most obvious thing, answer to that. It's this white creator because the xenomorphs are black destroyers, which has some racial implications to it, but
casual 2000s racism.
But because you get what I mean, right? Like in fiction, if there's a monster that destroys things and it's colored black, then obviously there's a creature that is colored white.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's very, very weird. It's very.
And never mind that once again we do the android thing, where we have an android who's the.
I mean, I haven't seen Covenant. But I swear to shit, if I watch it at some point and there's a freaking twist where like, I'm an android, I am gonna smash my fucking TV in half. I'm so tired of that trope. It's not interesting.
Yeah.
It's not creative. It's fucking lazy.
And to be fair, that's
so fucking lazy.
That's my biggest complaint with most movies that try to be franchises. They either make movies that try to answer things nobody cared about, or they just do the same thing again.
Tried and true formula. And it's like, which granted, all movies really follow the same formula. You know, with the rising action and then all this other bullshit. Yeah. If I'm watching a series and I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I think I've seen this before. That shouldn't be happening whatsoever. There's ways to keep things fresh.
Yeah.
And not rehash the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I have that issue with the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. Like before anybody jumps on down my throat, like, oh, you're one of these boomer fans that doesn't like anything new. It's like, no, I actually like a lot of stuff from the new movies. The problem is, and I said this coming out, Episode 7 felt like Episode 4 all over again. And then it's just like, there's ways to do stuff that brings forth new stuff and new material and new ideas without just rehashing stuff with new skin.
Hey, you know what would be great? If we did Wrath of Khan again, but instead, Kirk dies, Spock doesn't, and then we bring him back to life with Triple Blood.
Again, this is why I didn't watch those shitty Star Trek remakes. Because I don't like J.J. Abrams.
As someone who watched the first Star Trek, Kelvin's Star Trek.
I did too. I went and saw it in the theater.
It wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
but then again, I'm not a Star Trek guy. But the second one,
I'm a weird Trekkie. I like original series and I like Voyager. Those are like the two I watch.
Well, the thing that's so maddening to me about Into Darkness is it literally is just doing Wrath of Khan. If I want to watch Wrath of Khan,
I'll watch Wrath of Khan.
Because Wrath of Khan is so good.
Yeah, it's like they're like, well, we heard you like movie A. So here's movie B, which is like movie A, but it's a little different. And it's like, do you think I'm fucking stupid?
Yeah, no, speaking of movie, moving on from the Alien, because I felt we've kind of...
Yeah, like I said, neither of us have seen Covenant, so we can't really talk about Covenant.
I've heard mostly that people are like, well, it just kind of feels like every other Alien movie.
It feels kind of bland.
And to be fair, I think with Covenant, that was more because they wanted to do a palate cleanser because nobody liked Prometheus.
One of these days, we'll sit down and watch Covenant. Maybe we'll do a live react.
No, I would not mind watching Covenant because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
But getting on to a franchise that, seeing as how you definitely knew more about Alien than me.
Yeah, me flipping out about the android.
Okay, especially because I love you brought up the books where they ignore 3. I'm like, I always love that with franchises where the books and stuff, like the side material ignores the sequels nobody likes.
Fandom, how the KOTOR fandom, we ignore the Revan novel because nobody likes the Revan novel.
Well, that's and forgive me for bringing up An American Tail. You know, there's 4 American Tail movies. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's Fievel. There's American Tail. Fievel Goes West. The Monster of Manhattan. I think that was the last one I watched was Monster of Manhattan.
Well, the funny thing about those is the third one, the Monster of Manhattan. You know how they get around the fact that they're back in New York, even though they went to the West, and they make it that 508 because I was like, I had this weird dream where I was a cowboy. They
pull a Dallas. Yeah, I forgot that. They pull a Dallas.
Yeah, they pull it.
Do you know what I mean by when I say they pulled a Dallas?
Yeah, it was all a dream.
It was all a dream.
Who shot JR?
That real big cliche of it was all a dream.
I mean, to be fair though, with Dallas though, when they did that was
that was innovative.
That was innovative at the time, but
it's become a huge cliche, like jumping.
I honestly didn't expect us to go into the American Tail movies, but that was one for me. It's like we are gonna ignore one of the sequels, even though my introduction to that was Fievel Goes West.
I had the original 2 on VHS, and I always remember they were weird VHS cases at the time because I was so used to the Disney.
Oh yeah,
white
they weren't clamshells; they were sleeves.
No, mine were clear. Mine were hard. Mine were hard shell, and they were clear.
I
still have those.
My copy of Fievel Goes West was sleeved. I got it from because McDonald's actually did a promotion where they had you could get a copy of The Land Before Time, Fievel Goes West, and a couple other Don Bluth films with your Happy Meals. Which
there's one we can talk about too, Land Before Time. That's a matter of debate.
To be fair, with Land Before Time, I honestly with a lot of Don Bluth films.
I'll tell you what Brian's criticism of Land Before Time is, because you'll laugh at this.
Oh God.
He loves the first one.
As do I.
And then he's like, I hate the rest because they all turn into fucking musicals.
No, it's true. They all do the Disney musical thing, and it's
like,
it's so. They have a TV show too.
What?
Yeah, it had a TV show. I used to when I was in college, I used to click through, and sometimes I'd pop Cartoon Network on in the afternoon when I'm studying. There was a Land Before Time TV show.
I've lived through this, and I've never fucking heard of this whatsoever. I have never once heard of this.
There was an All Dogs Go to Heaven TV show.
Excuse me?
I know. What
was there to talk about?
No. Him and Dom DeLuise's characters, they're now guardian angels to dogs, and sometimes they're on Earth, and sometimes they're up in heaven, and they do missions for... It's so weird! Actually, fun fact.
I could have lived my whole life without.
Oh, I'm gonna blow your mind even more. 50 Goes West also had a TV show.
What?
They had like a season-long TV show where it was them in the Wild West.
When did this air?
Like, I think when the show movie came out back in the night, like back when I was like 3.
Okay, so before I was even born then, because you're older than I am.
Yeah, no, like
I was negative. I was like negative 4 or 5 at that point.
No, CBS. Like I think all these ran on CBS because CBS was like ran by the same parent company.
When you got, I learned a lot about a lot of these because I had the tapes. I thought I was hot shit when I was a kid because I had my own TV and a fucking VCR in my room. I was hot shit.
No, like legitimately all three.
I was the only one that knew how to work a damn VCR.
And that's the thing for me. Like I don't understand movies that get like franchises movies that become TV shows. Like Ferris Bueller had a TV show.
Buzz Lightyear. Star Command.
Well, to be fair, Buzz Lightyear was actually really good.
That was good though
because they played it like this is the TV show that inspired the toy. That show was actually really good. Like Nosferatu, the energy vampire.
It won't work. Did you make sure the
batteries
were in correctly?
Is the plus side supposed to go on the minus side? The plus side goes on the plus side, and the minus side goes on the minus side. No, I love Zurg in that. Like Zurg.
That's another show I wouldn't mind rewatching because I haven't seen that.
It's never been released on DVD.
It's probably on archive.org. I can probably find it. If
I
find it, I'll download it and I'll send you. I'll burn it to DVD for you.
But like Ferris Bueller's Day Off had a TV show.
That I've actually heard of. I heard it's really not that good.
It's really not. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I do not understand shows that get made into TV. Like, not, like...
Do you remember the Osmosis Jones TV show?
Oh, Ozzy and Drix. Yes, I do.
I actually thought that was really good when it came out.
It in a lot of ways, I think it's better than the movie. Because that movie... fun fact, Bill Murray's only in that because he thought it was a Coen Brothers production. Well, it was made by Coen Brothers, just not the Coen Brothers he thought it was. So, like, that's kind of why he's kind of out to lunch in that movie.
Because like, I'm contracted. I have to show up and do it, but I'm not going to be interested.
Then, I think the studio actually forced them to do the live-action stuff around the animated parts.
I like that movie. Granted, I haven't seen it in 2 decades.
It's not bad, but like the live-action parts of it are kind of don't hold up. I think the animated pieces are...
Here's a movie that almost became a franchise. Space Jam.
Oh my god,
we all love Space Jam. Have you ever heard of the unproduced and unwritten sequel that they were going to come out with?
Yeah, it was going to be NASCAR, right?
Yeah, it was going to be NASCAR. Because you remember Looney Tunes Back in Action, how Jeff Gordon's in it?
Yeah.
That was the leftover from that. They were going to have it be Space Jam, but it was going to be with NASCAR.
Okay.
And I've seen, because I'm a big NASCAR fan, obviously. I mean, that's literally what this hat is. It's a NASCAR hat.
And he punched drywall a little bit ago.
I don't even drink Monster, but okay. But anyway,
well, I mean,
this popped up on Reddit one day. They were talking about this unproduced Space Jam sequel, and I'd never heard of it.
Yeah,
I read through the article, and I was like, it could have been good. It also could have been really bad. Like Looney Tunes Back in Action was. That movie
to be honest,
was bad.
I'm actually one of those people that I actually kind of like Back in Action more than Space Jam.
I haven't seen either movie in 2 decades, so I can't tell you what was good.
I think the problem with those movies is either, if you really are a big fan of the Looney Tunes, Space Jam's kind of frustrating. Especially the fact that they need Michael Jordan's help to defeat these aliens. I'm sorry.
But it's Mike.
I know, but it's Bugs Bunny.
And this was Mike when he was playing fucking baseball, too. Like, he was terrible at playing
I'm just
baseball.
saying, Bugs has defeated aliens before. Like is more my like, if you're a fan of the Looney Tunes, it's really weird to see, like, not only that, just like them like working together, because the Looney Tunes hate each other, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, like, technically the Looney Tunes are like much like the Disney characters, they always say that like the characters they play in the cartoons are just characters. That it's just a little like for when they're on screen, they torture each other and stuff. That's just much like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, how like they were actors.
Yeah.
But and to be fair, if they had done Space Jam with NASCAR, it would have been, I don't know.
I just don't know where they would have gone with it.
I guess they would have had to introduce like new aliens working for the Moron Mountain. I guess.
I just don't know how they would have done it. And it's probably best that it just didn't
To be fair, I like Space Jam for what it is, a weird moment in the 90s. Yeah. Like, I'm the fan guy that's like, do I think it's a good movie? No.
It's enjoyable,
but it's at least,
it's
like,
fun.
if you wanted a time capsule...
I have fun watching it.
If you wanted a time capsule of the 90s...
It's the chubby guy.
Speaking of...
They find him in the fucking locker.
Yeah. Speaking of animated movies with that kind of tried to be franchises but didn't, but like probably shouldn't have, the Goofy movie. Now, I love the first Goofy movie. It's like one of my my top 10 Disney
Do you not
films.
like Extremely Goofy?
I do like Extremely Goofy movie, but my problems more with it lie in the fact that, like, I don't think they should have made more after it, because I feel like because Extremely Goofy was a direct-to-video, it didn't do very well.
Yeah. Fun fact, that was actually the only one I had. My cousin had a Goofy movie, and I used to borrow it, but I never had it myself. The only one I had was Extremely Goofy.
Well, because like
which is kind of like, I guess why I usually like that one more than
and I'm not because I like both.
Yeah.
I just want to.
I do too.
I just don't think. I think it shouldn't have gone past Extremely, because they do kind of go past it. There's a Disney Christmas VHS they did where it was all CG, where it has Max coming home for the holidays to introduce his girlfriend to Goofy, and it's in CGI and it's horrible.
I feel like I've seen this. This sounds really familiar.
Like, first off, the CG modeling
has not aged well.
Yeah, it looks bad. And
How
second
bad
of all,
are we talking? We talking like Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, bad
not
looking CGI?
not that. More like Jimmy Neutron.
Okay, so it just hasn't aged well.
Like you get like they look kind of dead. if you get my drift. Like they don't look alive. They look like toys.
Look like somebody playing around in Gmod, basically.
Yeah. And it just does the same stuff you see in both Goofy movies, where it's Max is embarrassed by his dad. Goofy's just desperately trying to be some sort of part of his son's life, despite the fact that his son's constantly pulling away from him. But the problem is, there's no Roxanne, there's no Pete, there's neither Pete nor Pete Jr. nor PJ.
No power line.
There's no power line.
I'm still waiting for that album.
There's no X Games, which that's another reason why I don't kind of like that movie, because it was during that mid 2000s X Games craze thing with them.
All it was missing was some Limp Bizkit over top of it.
I mean, granted, it did have that awesome.
It's just one of those days.
It had that awesome character that looked like the Sasquatch from the first Goofy movie. That was going to.
I'm like, that.
The Sasquatch mated with someone and their kid went to college. See, Disney should have made a movie about that dude.
I would have watched it.
I would have watched it.
Heck, I'd still watch it if it came out with it.
To be fair, I like Extremely Goofy movie, but it kind of does the whole Animal House college thing where it has this fraternity and
they took everything, even the stuff we didn't steal.
Yeah, like you know, because Max and PJ and Pauly Shore's character, who they don't get Pauly Shore back, they get some other stoner character, but
there's a time capsule. Pauly Shore involved in anything.
Like for me, like I think the movie's not bad because there's a couple of things that I like about it. For one, PJ's girlfriend that he gets, the beatnik character, the whole Goofy falling for the librarian that helps him out, just because like he like. And like that, and I like the fact that like Goofy's problem in that movie is he's forgetting so much about wanting to like get a, you know, because he goes back to college because he loses his job. And he's like, I want to go back to college so I can get a degree so I can get a job, because like he's living at home and Max is off to college and he doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah. But
the problem is once he gets to college, he's like, well, I'll go to the same college Max went and we can. But like he loses so much sight about what he was going here for. Like, even Goofy's like, well, I lost focus. You know, and I really like that story because Goofy's just trying to move on with his life while Max is trying to build his own. And it does work, but, like, I didn't want to see, like, another movie where, like, Max is, like, married and, like, Goofy's...
the embarrassing dad. It's a tried path. We've been over it. Let's do something else.
Speaking of like franchise movies, like the direct to Disney video market, where they were like, what happens after Happily Ever After?
What, like a Little Mermaid 2?
Or like Cinderella 2, 3, and 4.
Not talking about those. Never seen them. Don't care. Don't need to know.
Like it got to the point where I was like, what are they gonna make Cinderella 5? Filing my taxes?
Oh, I've got one for you. Pocahontas 2.
Oh my god. You mean the one that's actually kind of more historically accurate?
Yeah, the one that's actually a little more historically accurate.
A heartless animal! No, Mermaid 2 actually makes me mad, because it does Ursula's crazy sister!
Yeah, it does the weird, everybody, if you're crazy, your whole fucking family's crazy.
Well, not like that, like, where was this character before?
Yeah, where was this character before?
Like, imagine if they did that with anything else. It's Jafar's crazy niece. It's
Janir.
It's Janir.
Instead of Jafar, it's Janir.
Oh, I can't. It's not even that funny.
Fucking Janir. What's the most important part about comedy? Timing. Janir.
Yeah, I'm gonna open. I didn't think it would get this hot. I'm gonna.
Fucking Janir.
I'm gonna actually.
Oh my god, that's such an old bad joke, but I'm sorry. It's so fucking funny.
But.
He's on 8.
Sorry. But yeah, like a lot of them do that. Like Lady and the Tramp 2, where it's about the kids.
Balto 2.
Oh my god, I forgot Balto had franchise.
Balto 2 actually wasn't bad. It's just the third one is like, it's so third one's kind of.
You remember the Princess and the Frog, or the Swan Princess, where it had like 7 sequels, and it like had like 3 of them be CG. Like why? But like I said, like there's a lot like those movies. It's like I don't want to know what happens after happily ever after.
Yeah, there's the resolution. We don't. If I want more, I'll go read fanfic.
Yeah, and usually some of them are.
Usually fanfic's better than some of this shit is.
Like that was one of my things with sequels. I don't want to watch the kids grow like doing the same. Like that was one of the things I had a problem with Lady and the Tramp 2 when I watched that when I was younger.
It'd be like, okay, so here's my idea, guys. Animal House 2. We get all the kids of the guys in the original Animal House, and they make a fraternity, and Dean Wormer is still the dean of the. Like, it'd be so stupid.
That's like a plot. That's actually like a plot for one of the American Pie sequels.
No, I know it is.
Speaking of a franchise that
American Pie, that did not need as many.
I do not understand why people make sequels to comedy films. Like they're never good. Like the
Blues Brothers 2000.
Yeah, Blues Brothers 2000. They did that with only one Blues Brother.
Ghostbusters.
Well,
debatable.
That's to be honest.
That's just because I don't like Ghostbusters.
That's also a subject of like reboots and stuff, which I didn't want to get into. I wanted to go into.
I'll talk about. I don't really like Ghostbusters 2. That's why. So that's just me though.
I mean, to be fair, I have mixed emotions on Ghostbusters 2.
I'm trying to think other comedies that got sequels.
Police Academy. There's 8 Police Academy
Why
movies.
Is there so many Police Academy sequels? Who wants these?
And not only that, like a lot of comedy movies, the problem is like they get too raunchy to the point where it's kind of
it's redundant. It's like, come on, man.
Or because they're trying to get a wider audience, they lessen the dirty. Like Caddyshack 2.
Oh god, Caddyshack 2. No.
I
can't talk about Caddyshack 2.
The movie that even
I'm not strong enough.
The movie that even Chevy Chase.
It's like, no.
He's in like 4 scenes because like he's contractually obligated to be in this movie.
He's really just phoning it in.
No, he's like, I don't want to be here. Like he's not even like the main character of the first one either.
Would you consider the original Superman movies to be an example of?
Oh, I
thought about bringing those up, but I didn't know how that would go because I actually like Superman 2. I like the first 2. It's just
I like the Donner cut
and
too.
Returns are just so fucking bad.
Well, a lot of that,
and that's more studio meddling.
Yeah, because like the studio was like this studio that was known for making schlock, and they took the money they needed for 3 and 4 to fund other movies.
Yeah, well, and 3 they tried to make 3 a comedy. That's why Richard Pryor's in it. And then 4,
like Superman,
4 they only were able to get made because Christopher Reeve was like,
oh yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah, he wrote it, and it was all about how he was against nukes, and it just, as Linkara talked about, it really is. It's so out of character for Superman because it's like he puts himself above everybody. Yeah, he's like, I am your god now, which is not Superman.
And especially because like the comics have even dealt with Superman. Like he's like, I can't
do that
because I'm not a god.
That's taking away the rights of people to choose.
Yeah, and like granted, if a nuclear war happened, he would probably stop it or try to, but at the end of the day, he's still like he may be Superman, but he's still a man.
Yeah.
For me, 3 is honestly the worst of them. I call it Superman 3, the waste of Richard Pryor. He is so not funny in that movie.
Getting a little off topic with Superman. I don't know if this was a recent Superman issue or not, but something happens in Metropolis and like all but one building full of people gets wiped off the map, right?
I don't know.
And Luthor comes out of nowhere, like he comes out of the rubble in like a fucking suit and everything, right? And you know, Clark's obviously like, I swear, if you had something to do with this, you know. And Luthor's like, I don't come to fight. And he's like, look, and he like drops to his knees and he's like, look what someone did to our city.
Yeah, no, because
I'm like
for all the things Lex Luthor is, he does care about Metropolis. He may be an evil monster.
He may want to kill Superman all the fucking time.
It's because Metropolis is his city. He's the reason Metropolis was the way it was when Superman got there. Superman just simply made it better because he actually cares about the people.
Yeah, that reminded me because we were talking about if there was a nuclear war.
No, I actually that's actually probably because Lex Luthor is many things. He's not an outright genocide. He doesn't cause genocide. He wants to prove that
despite what Superman won, he's willing to.
Oh yeah, no.
Explode California off the mainland.
Yeah,
but that's different.
Otisburg.
No, Superman movie Lex Luthor is not comic book Lex Luthor.
Well,
he's not even Supergirl TV show.
To be fair, he's more closer to the Golden Age Luthor, who was just a mad scientist.
Yeah,
he's really boring.
Yeah, that's why Silver Age.
That's why pretty much every Lex Luthor is the money hungry tycoon Donald Trump Lex Luthor because he's so much more interesting.
But anyway, you were saying about the waste of Richard Pryor.
Oh,
I didn't mean to interrupt. That reminded me, and I wanted to get that out before I forgot.
So first off, the characters that play Jimmy, Lois, and Perry did not want to be in this film.
Well, no, and with Kit,
with Margaret Kidder.
With Margaret Kidder, it's because she had gotten into a fight with the studio. And they basically wrote her out of it.
Especially because I think this is shortly before these two movies were made shortly before she had her mental breakdown, which
was not pretty.
So
I don't wish that on anybody.
No, especially because they literally have it that Lois is going on vacation. So Clark goes back to Smallville, which, fine. I don't mind watching a movie where Superman goes back to Smallville.
Things get even wackier in 4 where he's trying to date 2 different women at the same time.
The less said about that, the better.
Getting back to 3.
Well, 3 opens with that stupid scene where this really hot chick who's one of the villains is walking through town, and they do all this comedy stuff where it causes all these disasters to happen. So Clark becomes Superman to try and stop all of it. And he goes into a photo booth, and it accidentally takes shots of him turning into Superman. And a kid almost picks it up, so he rips the bottom one off and gives it to the kid and takes the rest and leaves. It's so... And the plot is so dumb. Even the movie Office Space makes jokes about how stupid this movie's plot is. So, Richard Pryor's a computer expert.
Yeah.
Computer expert. And he's what we're going to do is we're going to create a program that allows us to steal 1 cent off all the money that's being transmitted electronically. We're basically if you're doing this on a wide scale, you're actually going to make a lot of money, supposedly.
Yeah. It's a supervillain plot for a fucking movie.
Well, to be fair, I argue how, and then and it's just so because there's a villain in it, and he's clearly supposed to be Lex Luthor, but they couldn't get
that actor to come back.
Gene Hackman to come back. It's just bad. They have the whole I make fake synthetic kryptonite that turns Superman evil, and then he bangs the random blonde chick. And then when he
I love your description. He does this, and then he bangs the blonde chick.
What else can I say about it? They make Superman evil, and then
which sounds like a porno. Lex Luthor bangs the blonde chick.
Well, no, Superman bangs the blonde chick. It was Superman. Well, because later on he apologizes to the woman because she's but we made Whoopi. He's I'm sorry, man. That Superman no longer exists. I'm
the fuck?
Ignoring the fact that that's kind of squicky.
To quote James Rolfe, no, somebody's pulling my leg.
Well, it's so stupid. And then the sister of the bad guy gets absorbed by the computer, and she becomes a living computer.
That scene's horrifying. Too.
That scene is horrifying, and then
that's a really horrifying.
Somehow she survives that too. I don't. They're trying to make it so silly, and then you get to the ending. It's just weird because for me it shows the downhill because a lot of that comedy stuff is in 4 with Lenny Luthor and
who's. Thankfully, that actor recovered.
John Cryer,
now
he is Lex Luthor.
Yeah, now he's Lex,
and he's amazing as
Lex. Great as Lex Luthor.
And then we get to Returns, which I'm why even make a sequel? That's another thing.
I remember watching that movie as a kid, and I had no clue what the fuck was going on.
I cannot stand when franchises do this either, where it's laid dormant for years, up to it. Well, it was like with the Muppets movie where they're like, no, this takes place in the other Muppet films, and so like, I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. Just make like a new movie. You don't have to like keep it in continuity. Like with the Muppets, do you care if the Muppets are in continuity?
I didn't even know the Muppets had fucking continuity.
Exactly. Like, but like Superman Returns is just because it does the thing I hate in franchises. Like, we're just gonna ignore 3 and 4. And we're going to talk about how Superman and Lois banged and they had a kid.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me, my ultimate one that shouldn't have been a franchise. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
Because holy fuck, are the quality of the sequels, that's a freaking roller coaster.
Mess them up, cuz.
Well,
Great, that's the reboot, but like...
This is how I view it. The original's great. I love the original. The original's a fucking masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
One of my favorite horror movies.
Get him, Leather!
The second one is okay. It's not quite up to snuff with the original, but it's pretty close. It's made by the same people. They got Dennis Hopper to come back, and you know it's directly in continuity with the first one because they show the guy that was in the wheelchair that got killed in the first movie. His skeleton's in there.
Yeah.
So that's obviously in the same universe. It's directly in the same universe.
Yeah.
Then you got 3, which to me is a fucking stupid movie. Makes no sense. Shouldn't.
Yeah.
It tries to be in continuity.
It tries.
It fails.
It fails, yeah.
Then you have The Next Generation, which is fucking terrible. Oh my god.
Is that where Data gets killed by Leatherhead?
I think it is.
Leatherface?
Who's
Sorry.
the chick in that?
Sorry, I didn't mean Leatherhead.
Look up Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. See the act. What's the actress's name that's in that?
All right, keep going though with your.
But so anyway, Generation sucks. Then it lays dormant for a while. Then they do a remake just called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which everybody seems to love. I can't stand it. The beginning is a sequel to that. I still can't stand it. It's just to me, it's just really stupid. Then you have Texas Chainsaw and Leatherface, which I just can't stand these movies. And I'm just like, why did this need to be a franchise? It's a movie about a dude with a chainsaw killing people. That doesn't need to be a franchise. It was okay with 2 movies.
Do you know the actress's name?
I can't remember it. Just name all. It's like the main character.
Renee Zellweger is Jenny.
Yeah, it's Renee Zellweger. That's what it is. I usually like Renee Zellweger, but holy crap, is she terrible in this movie. Like, this movie is so stupid. Next Generation. That's probably... Like, I actually bought that, and I watched it.
I'm sorry, I know.
No, it's so stupid, and they try to give it some sense of validity because they have the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre victim in there. No. Like the one from the first movie that survived. She plays like a mental ward institute person. But it's just so stupid. It makes no damn sense.
No.
It's just a movie. It's a series that did not need to be a franchise. And Hollywood has this fixation with it and Halloween where they keep freaking rebooting it. And it's like, just stop. Especially it doesn't need rebooting.
Halloween is weird to me because Halloween was not supposed to be about Michael Myers.
No, it wasn't. But everybody got pissed when the third one came out.
Which is
because it wasn't about Michael. So now we're back to doing Michael. But honestly, now we've run out of ideas.
I liked 3. I thought 3 was a really interesting premise for like a scary Halloween movie.
Yeah, but no, everybody wants Michael.
Especially because it actually
a series that they just keep bringing him back and bringing him back and bringing him back and bringing him back, and it's just old at this point.
Especially because 3 actually kind of gives an explanation of why Michael's so unkillable. Because in that, like, they implied like one of the robots that's in that movie was actually Michael Myers. That like the reason Michael is like an unfeeling killing machine is because he's a robot. Which I'm like, that's actually kind of an interesting twist on the whole thing.
Well, and it's just like I said, Halloween 1 and 2 are great movies. 3 I actually like. I know 3's the redheaded stepchild of the whole franchise, but I like it. I know some people don't. It's one of those movies you either like or you don't. 4, 5, and 6 are kind of a hodgepodge. I can do with them. I can do without them.
You like H2O?
I'm getting to H2O. Then you have the 90s ones, and you said it earlier, what a fucking time capsule H2O and those are.
Oh, yeah, because who's the rapper that's in it?
Oh, I can't remember.
I want to say
he survives the whole movie, too, I'm pretty sure, which is funny as fuck.
Because he gets into a fight with... I'm like, there's no way this guy could get into a...
Yeah, he's in a burning building, and he has like some kind of... I think he has a machete.
Yeah.
He's like sword fighting with Michael. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It's so bad.
It's like some self-insert fanfic almost. And I mean, they got Jamie Lee to come back.
Yeah. Which she keeps coming back for these movies. I don't know why.
Because it was her big break. That's why. She's the original Scream Queen because of these movies. But anyway, then she goes back in the next one. I'm pretty sure she gets killed off in the beginning.
Which is weird. She's coming back for the new one.
Yeah. Then they bring her back, and like 2 movies later, they bring her back for some they bring her back. I can't remember how. And then she actually dies. I'm pretty sure. Now they got her in the new one, and it's just like.
Yeah, we're like
It's again. Did this really need to be a franchise? Of just Michael going around fucking killing people.
I actually argue that's a problem with slasher films in general, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street to some extent. I mean, granted, Nightmare on Elm Street has aged a little bit better just because
Jeepers Creepers was going that route too.
Well, it didn't help that the director of that was a known child molester. Yeah. And that's what kind of
what ended that before.
Granted, I didn't even think the original Jeepers Creepers was that scary because I'm like, oh, it's a creepy scarecrow bat thing.
I thought it was just weird. That was really about it. I watched it at a buddy's house in high school, and I was like, this is just weird.
Speaking of franchise, and we are getting a little on time. I mean, I figure we could talk for like maybe another 10 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Franchises that I just like comedy franchise, or actually, you know, we'll do this one I wanted to talk about because you were talking about movies that shouldn't have even gotten past the first film as a franchise. RoboCop.
Oh God.
Like, so the original RoboCop is a satire. It's this movie about the dangers of letting corporations run everything, and about letting poor merchandise get out, and you know, because like originally the big two walker thing.
I don't know the name of it.
I can't remember what
it's been a while.
The Ed 209. The Ed 209. The Ed 209 is actually based on a car that was a lemon. Like I want to say it's like the
DeLorean.
No, not the DeLorean. It was that one that everyone makes jokes about. I think it's the Packer.
Edsel.
Maybe the Edsel. I can't remember what car it was. But,
probably the Edsel. That's the one everybody makes fun of.
Because the whole idea was that, you know, the Ed 209 was just, it wasn't even built to be, it was just built to look like it did and kind of do a few things. But like it doesn't recognize IDs and it will just blow people away. And it can't even go upstairs. Like that was one of the things that like what made RoboCop so dangerous against him was it couldn't even go upstairs. That's how he beats the first one. It falls down a bunch of stairs and like flips out like a toddler, which is hilarious. But like, you know, the whole thing is about like, well, granted there is a plot to it. It's not all satire, but like, you know, because it's about Murphy trying to regain his humanity after being turned into RoboCop. And then you have 2, which is like, well, we want to make more RoboCops, but like we killed the guy who created the first one off in that movie. So now we're trying to make new RoboCops, but like Murphy was kind of a 1 in a million test subject where he could hang on to his humanity somewhat because being turned into this machine because he was so devoted to being a cop. Which is, however, there's also like in this movie, Murphy or RoboCop's freaking out because he's getting more and more memories about being Alex Murphy. Like he drives past his wife's new house and like it's just like, I mean, granted, the second one's not too bad because it's like, what if they made like a RoboCop that doesn't abide by the rules? And they even do like this clever thing where like they give RoboCop all these like new directives. Because, you know, he had 4 in the original. He had, you know, serve the public, like, you know, and then the 4th one was you can't fire OGP or arrest OGP employees. It would cause you to shut down. Well, they're like, we want to prove that RoboCop 2 is better, so they put all these directives in, like, you can't swear at children, you're not, you know, you're supposed to talk about not doing drugs, and it eventually ends up causing him to break down, and, like, he has to get, like, repaired by, like, a bunch of, like, kids or something like that. I forget why he gets repaired.
I got a TV show.
3 is even worse because he fights ninjas. He fights robot ninjas.
Jesus.
And it's frustrating because, like...
Sounds like a fucking
Well, because, like, you know how RoboCop moves. He's built like a tank.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I spitting in your face?
No, I'm fine. Okay.
He's built like a tank, and so this ninja like chops his hand off, and they give him this big stupid rocket launcher cannon and a jetpack. It's just so bad. And then they rebooted it, and I didn't care for it at all.
Here's one that tried to be a franchise and kind of fell flat on its face, and thankfully it stayed dead. MASH.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, for a lot of people don't know this. MASH was originally a series of 3 novels that was then adapted to a movie, which did pretty well.
Yeah.
Then it became a TV show.
Which I think, depending on the person, you either like the TV show more or the movie more.
I like the TV show more. Here's the thing that most people don't know. After MASH ended, there was another TV show called After MASH.
I think I did know about that.
And it was Father Mulcahy, Klinger, and Colonel Potter all working at the same hospital in the States.
Okay.
It only lasted, I think, one season, and then it got canceled because it had low ratings. There was another show that they tried pitching called Radar, where he was going to be a police officer.
Oh my god.
That became a TV movie called O'Reilly. And that was a TV movie. And then I think this is where it gets a little complicated. There was another show around the same time as After MASH called Trapper John MD.
I've heard of Trapper John MD.
And it wasn't directly related to MASH, but the guy's name was Trapper John, who was the same name as the guy in the early seasons.
Okay.
And he mentions in the show that he fought in Korea. And he's it was one of those things where it's like, is it really connected to this?
Yeah,
is it the same character, or is it just, they knew it was the same name, so they kind of just played it a little bit, or But for a while, it was like they tried franchising MASH, and it's like you don't really need to franchise MASH.
Yeah, because
at all.
Like, speaking of, I know you're not a fan, and this is probably gonna sound really weird. I like the Golden Girls TV show. They actually, after the series ended, B. Arthur left the show. And the girls lose the house because they can't pay for it or something. So they move into a hotel, and they start running this hotel called the Golden Palace. And it lasted one season because like they didn't have B. Arthur, and like most of the original cast that like showed up wouldn't be in it. Like you didn't have her ex-husband, Dorothy's ex-husband. Like Sophia stayed with him despite being Dorothy's daughter. It just was a mess. Like,
what about Fuller House and
Fuller House? I haven't even watched Fuller House.
I've never watched Fuller House. The most I've heard about Fuller House is that I know people that really, really love it. I know it's a couple seasons in now.
It's 3 seasons, I think. I think they're making the 4th season.
I know they crack a lot of jokes about why the Olsen twins are not in it.
Which I'm like, that's really, you don't need to be that bitter about the fact you couldn't get the Olsen twins.
Especially because neither of them act anymore. The
only
one who does is Liz.
Yeah, because
who's Wanda in the MCU.
I want to say Ashley or Mary Kate did act because she was in a movie called Beastly. I know because my ex dragged me to see that, and it was woof. The only saving grace of that movie is Neil Patrick Harris.
But yeah, like I said, it's even arguable that Liz, I don't think Liz is close to Mary Kate.
I doubt
or
it.
Ashley, because I remember they asked her something on a TV show because like Mary Kate and Ashley did music videos when they were really, really young.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth is in a couple of them, and I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Colbert or Jimmy Fallon or somebody. Somebody asked her about them, and she's like, I don't remember being in these. Yeah. First off, she's like, I got sent over there with them because it was a form of babysitting.
Well, then their parents basically were trying to make them all famous.
Yeah, which, from what I've seen, I think Elizabeth is probably more talented than either of her sisters.
Yeah, she's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, obviously.
And she's actually a decent actor.
I've seen her in other stuff. She's actually pretty decent.
To be fair, Mary Kate and Ashley's problem is that they were
child starlets.
And like their popularity was that because they were children, basically, and that they were at least semi-decent actresses for their age. But
all right, Adam, it's time to reveal our ultimate plan. We're going to review all the Mary Kate and Ashley
We're not going to review all the Mary Kate and Ashley movies. I know we talked about that a long time.
That was such a pitch joke that I kept making.
For reference, we used to make this joke because I feel like
this was before we started the channel.
Yeah, this was back when we were still doing vlogs on my channel, back when we were doing the Zangetsu movie vlogs.
We would, as a joke, we would make pitches to each other about stuff we would review.
Look, I wanted to say I started by like, we got to do the Sabrina, because you like Sabrina. I was like, we got to do the Sabrina retrospective where we talk about the Sabrina TV show and all the weird Sabrina movies that were made for it.
Yeah, because like I'm actually still down for that because I actually love Sabrina.
I would as well because I actually like Sabrina.
I actually own a lot of books for the show.
I wish I could find a good place where they had all the seasons on DVD. I don't think all of them are.
Amazon. No, they're all on DVD. It's actually cheaper. For a while we had it here at work. It's actually cheaper to get them on Amazon if you can get the complete series.
Okay.
Because if you're like me and you bought them all individually, it's fucking hella expensive. Especially the last season. The last season is so fucking expensive, and I don't know why.
And to be fair, like that's a franchise. Like,
and not only that, the 2 movies are not included with the box set, so you have to go buy the movies separately. And one of them only just got re-released here recently.
There's something we could talk about as TV shows that went on way too long. Because my problem with Sabrina is I don't care after she was a teenage witch.
That's a fair complaint.
Because like, especially because like they do the whole thing where Harvey comes back and Harvey knows she's a witch, and it just, and like her and Harvey kind of have this will they are like it was a lot like Saved by the Bell the college years, which again shows my age because I used to watch that before I went to high school.
I've actually never watched Saved by the Bell.
Like Saved by the Bell is fun, but like it's one of those shows. Okay, so permit me. It was originally a Disney TV sitcom called Good Morning Miss Bliss, where Zach and his friends were just characters in the show. It was actually about the teacher they were with named Miss Bliss.
Well, no, when they re-air the show now, there's certain episodes they don't air because it's pretty heavy and it doesn't fit into their family-friendly programming.
Well, I know they don't do the next gen. They don't do Saved by the Bell the Next Generation because nobody cares.
Well, I saw this on a video on YouTube. There's like a couple episodes of Saved by the Bell they don't air because I know two of them specifically deal with drinking, and then one of them deals with the 2 main characters talking about whether or not they should have sex.
Okay, I've actually never seen either of those, so fair. But basically, the Miss Bliss show got repackaged as Saved by the Bell the younger years, and would have Zach Morris's actor come on and be like, "This is about us when we were kids before we got to high school." It's hilarious because in that show, Mr. Belding is in that, the principal. He has a different name, so they had to re-edit.
They had to redub it.
They had to redub every time they talked about his name to. In fact, I want to say Screech had a different name too. But after that season, they did Saved by the Bell, which is arguably more popular. Which I know they did a drug episode that they do show, the one where...
This sounds a lot like Degrassi, how there's like 6 different Degrassi shows.
Yeah. Well, and then they have that.
And the only one everybody cares about is Next Gen, because everything else is just weird.
Well, they have that, and then they did a bunch of spin-off shows where like they were doing like, them on spring break. Which, it's not really a spin-off, it's just a season of Saved by the Bell, but it's named differently. And I think in the box sets and stuff, they don't worry about that. They did that, where it was just the kids spending their time doing spring breaks. Fun fact: the actress from King of Queens actually got her start doing. She was in the spring break episodes. Huh. Her and Zach dated in those episodes.
I know Bianca Larson was also in Saved by the Bell at one point, who would go on to be in like Buffy Vampire
Tiffany Amber
Thiessen.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen's actress left after a couple after like when they actually graduate high school twice in that show. They graduate once with Tiffany Amber Thiessen, and then they did another season afterwards because they didn't want to do the college years without her. So they did another season where they add a new girl into the cast who's kind of like a biker chick, and I think that's who you're talking about.
It's probably Bianca.
And she it's hilarious because they graduate again. Like they have 2 graduation episodes because they wanted to it's so weird, dude. And I'm sorry that this talk about franchises became let's talk about Adam's weird knowledge of Saved by the Bell.
I think after this we should just wrap this episode up. It's getting pretty long, but
because we could do more talking about movies that shouldn't be franchises. Because I was gonna talk about like Jurassic Park and which I mean to be fair is debatable. But
you don't like product placement?
No, but basically, if you don't mind, let me finish my tangent on
it. Yeah, go ahead.
They go into the college years. Then Kelly and Zach decide to get married. The last season is called Wedding in Vegas, where they go to Vegas to get married because their parents don't want them to get married. And this is the one where they get back Lisa's actress, Lisa, and Elizabeth Berkley, who did Jessie, because she was busy doing Showgirls at the time. And we all know how that movie turned out. Don't we? Don't we?
Continue. I've never seen it. I've never even heard of it.
So, it was a 4-episode TV movie. And it's so bad. Because I think Zach tries to get money for the honeymoon, so he gambles away all the money they had for the wedding.
This sounds like H2O.
It's so bad, dude. I used to remember when me and my buddy would watch it, and I'm like, oh, we're getting into the college episodes. That means we're going to eventually get to the Wedding in Vegas episodes again. It was one of those franchise. And to be honest, I guess you could say Saved by the Bell is a franchise. It was one of those things where it's like
I would consider it a franchise.
Where it just kept going when it didn't need to. After they graduated, because then after they did all that, they did The Next Generation, where Zach is where Screech is a teacher at the school they went to, and Zach occasionally shows up where him and him and Kelly are married, and he just guest starred, and it's not good. I think, in fact, that was airing when I was a kid. That was like one of the last things NBC aired on their Saturday morning lineup, back when they used to do Saturday mornings. Because a lot of people forget that NBC, CBS, and ABC actually used to have Saturday mornings. Like, eventually ABC's got bought out by Disney when they did one Saturday morning, but it didn't last forever, because basically by the 2000s, the Saturday morning had died, except for like Fox Kids and Kids WB. But it was so like, and I like Saved by the Bell, like, for what it is, a cheesy 90s show that...
That's how I am with Sabrina. It's a cheesy... Do I go into Sabrina expecting like the greatest TV writing? No. Especially because most of the episodes of that, they're only... If you look at how they are in the box set, like, a lot of people are like, how did you manage to demolish 3 seasons of Sabrina in like a month? I'm like, they're only 20 minutes.
Yeah, and they're only 20 minutes.
And most of the box sets are only... Each season is only like 3 discs.
Well, not only that, it's a TGIF show, so they only aired maybe like 10 episodes a season.
Yeah.
Because they only aired on Fridays, and...
Clarissa Knows All is the same fucking way.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know Clarissa Explains It All even had a DVD set release.
Yeah, I bought the first season. I have it.
Wow, I did not know that had a... Because, like, Nickelodeon's really bad at releasing...
Yeah, I bought it from here, actually.
Well, I kind of forgot. They did actually, for a long time, have the Hey Dude box set here, which I'm like, oh, that... yeah. But, anyway, so that was kind of, like I said, like... I think, like him and I both stated, the problem with franchises is a lot of them should have just been, like, a movie or two and then be done. Especially because a lot of them, it's just, we're doing this again. Like I was going to say with...
it's really a result of companies just being greedy.
It really is. Like, it's just... Because, like, for every good franchise, there's so many that are bad. I think at some point we're going to have to talk about what makes a what makes a good franchise, just because, like... You know, because, like the MCU, for example, they clearly had, like, a roadmap.
Yeah.
Or, like, Star Trek. Because, like, you could argue Star Trek actually has had a decent run. Like, I know some of the later stuff is not nearly as good, but, you know, like, it did have a decent run, you know. It had Next Generation. It had the first series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager's okay. But, like I said... You know, but 9 times out of 10, you should just, if you don't think you can make something more out of, like, what you have, just stop.
Yeah, instead of just running it into the ground. So.
Or the worst idea is eventually rebooting it. Looking at you, Friday the 13th. Halloween. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, we don't talk about it.
Which is a shame, because actually, like, that was the guy who did Rorschach, actually, who was Freddy, and he was actually really good as Freddy.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for, do you have any final thoughts on?
Just not really much more than you said. Just people need to realize, hey, we have a good thing, let's leave it as a good thing.
Agreed. So anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Remember the Hyphen. Come back next week when we do our Halloween special. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be spoopy. Nice and spoopy. We're going to have some doot-doots with some skeletons. It's going to be great. So, anyway.
We'll actually have a dead guy in the back with sunglasses. We're going to do Weekend at Bernie's.
I don't even know where to go with that.
It's going to be Heath Ledger.
I'm not affiliated with this man.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, I can't believe you just said that.
If you don't come to our podcast for dark humor, I don't know what you come for.
Fair enough. And anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week. I'm Zongetsu134.
And I am Average Joe Squad.
And as always, we ask you,
remember
the hyphen. Take care.